I'm John Vennard, the owner of Cultivate Tea and Spice. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make tea. These are some great techniques to use in your cafe, coffee shop, or restaurant. Today we're going to be doing a few different things. We'll be doing a 12-ounce hot loose leaf tea, a 16-ounce shaken iced tea. I'm also going to show you how to make a 16-ounce iced matcha latte. So there's a few things we need. First, we need our tea, of course. Today we're going to be using our Floral Fusion, which actually is not truly a tea. A true tea comes from the Camellia sinensis plant. So that would be black tea, green tea, white tea, oolong. We have quite a few of those as well. And different blends that includes true tea. This here is actually referred to as a tisane. Also often referred to as an herbal tea. But no caffeine, no actual tea. So we've got our Floral Fusion. You're going to need a scale. We have the CJ4000 today. We're going to start with a hot tea, so this is our 12-ounce cup. We're also going to need a vessel to brew our tea. There's lots of different vessels on the market. You can use whatever one fits your shop the best. Today, since a lot of coffee shops are already equipped with some French presses, we are going to use a French press. If you already have French presses in your coffee shop, I would recommend getting a couple that you designate just for tea. French presses can start to pick up the flavor of coffee, and you don't want the coffee flavor in your tea. We have our variable temperature kettle back here. Ours is made by Fellow. It's a really good one. Some cafes are already equipped with variable temperature water heaters. We do have some cafe partners that their espresso water comes out at about 190 and they just kind of stick to that for all teas. We do recommend specific temperatures. Green tea should be brewed at 175. Oolongs are usually 180, 185. Herbal teas and our black teas are usually around 200. And we always give the recommended temperature, quantity, and steep time on our labels. If you are using something that's just one temperature, around 190 is kind of in the middle enough, and our wholesale customers or clients that use that method haven't had any complaints, but I would definitely make sure you're paying attention to the steep time. We do like to use variable temperature kettle, so this one is already set at 200 degrees. That's the ideal temperature for this herbal tea Floral Fusion. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I like to weigh everything. This is going to keep your teas consistent. So we're going to tare it out, which means zero it out, so it's not weighing the French press. Actually, we'll take this off and then zero it out. Now you could use the scoop, or if you have your tea, if you're keeping it in display jars, you can just pour it directly in as long as you're careful to get the right amount. We recommend, for almost all of our loose leaf teas, we recommend 6 grams. We're going to go ahead and this is for a 12-ounce hot tea. So we can either scoop, or like I said, if we're careful to get the right amount, we can just pour. And we are now at 6 grams. We're going to want to do 12 ounces of water. So I'm going to zero it out again. Our water's at 200 degrees for 12 ounces of water. The color you're starting to see there is because this blend includes hibiscus, so it's going to be a nice deep pink color. It's exactly 12 ounces. And right away you're going to want to set a timer. So for this tea we recommend 5 minutes. And then notice that this tea does it's floating on the top a lot. So there are some pieces that haven't quite fully come in contact with the water. When you see that, you want to make sure it has come in contact with the water. With a French press, we can just press it down a little. With any other method, sometimes you might even want to take a little spoon, give it a little stir. And now we're waiting for the steep time. So this is the time to let the customer know they got about a 5-minute steep time. You can maybe start taking the order of the next customer or go about your business. With shaken iced tea, this steep time is the perfect time to start filling your cup with ice and your shaker with ice, but we'll get to that. And I will see you in 5 minutes. When taking the customer's order, it's also a good idea to ask them if they want it sweetened or not. Some places like to just have a station that has cream, sugar, honey, stevia, other alternatives where the customer can just sweeten their own tea to their liking. We do keep a simple syrup on hand, so it's pretty easy for us to sweeten teas for the customer. Simple syrup's especially great for your shaken iced tea. Sugar, honey, those things aren't going to dissolve incredibly easily in a iced tea. So if you really want to sweeten their tea, simple syrups are the way to go. We do a 1-to-1 ratio, so this is one cup of organic sugar to 1 cup of water. Bring it to a boil, make sure it dissolves, and then cool it. With the honey, we do the same thing, a 1-to-1 ratio. However, we only heat the water to about 100, 110 degrees. We don't want to we use a raw local honey, so we don't want to destroy the beneficial properties. That heat seems to be plenty. If you put it in something and shake it up, or just give it a rapid stir with a spoon. And then we do the same thing, we cool that, and that allows us to add sugar or honey to the tea, to the iced tea. So we've got just about 20 seconds left. So we've got our cup ready. We know that we're brewing 12 ounces of tea, and all we're going to do when this timer goes off, so we have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to push down the plunger. That's going to basically stop the brew. And then we're simply going to pour. Now with this particular tea, the Floral Fusion is one of 3 of our teas that actually has dried stevia leaf in the blend. So this actually brews with a mild sweetness. So when asking the customer if they want their tea sweet, any tea that has stevia leaf, I'd recommend letting them know this tea brews naturally with a natural sweetness because of the stevia leaf in it. But if you want it sweeter, we can add more. And with a simple syrup, it's always easy to add more afterwards, so that allows the customer to try it first. You did just brew this tea, or we brewed this tea at 200 degrees, so another good thing to tell the customer is this is very hot. I like to even let them know the temperature. This is 200 degrees, so you may want to wait a little bit to start sipping on it. You can put a lid on it and give it to the customer. Okay, we just did a quick simple rinse of our French press here. So we're going to use it again for doing a shaken iced tea. We definitely recommend brewing tea fresh to order rather than brewing an iced tea and letting it sit around. Your customer will definitely appreciate that experience and just knowing that they got that tea specially brewed for them. So again, we're going to go with 6 grams, but we're going to go with half the water. So only about 6 or 7 ounces of water. 6 grams again. But we're still using 200 degree water. So this is going to create a concentrate. It's going to be like a double strength tea. When we shake that tea over ice, a good portion of that ice melts and dilutes the tea, making it a regular strength cup of tea. So we've got our kettle over here with 200 degree water. We're going to switch this to ounces so we know that we're using 6 to 7 ounces of water. Alright, that's like just under, let's get it to 7. That's 7 ounces of water. We're going to set our timer again for the 5 minutes that's recommended, so same steep time. And we're going to push down this plunger just a little bit to make sure all the leaves are fully submerged. And again, we have our wait time of 5 minutes. And as I said before, for a shaken iced tea, the steep time, let the customer know they've got a 5-minute steep time. And this is a great time for you to fill your cup with ice. Fill your shaker. So this is just a cocktail shaker. We'll fill this with ice. And we only fill the shaker about halfway with ice. You could use a shaker like this that has a built-in lid and strainer. Another option is the dual shaker, where you have one larger, one small, and it allows you to shake like that. That's what we're going to use today. When we pour our tea into the shaker, that's also a good time to add simple syrup. We like to have either bottles like this where we can do basically I usually do about a 6-second pour just because we know how much sweetener comes out of this bottle in 6 seconds. So I'd work with it, play with it, and see whatever method you're using, what works best for you. If you're measuring out your simple syrup or if you just have a count for it. All right, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to push the plunger down again. Now I'm doing this on my watch. I'm actually doing this from home to minimize distractions rather than doing it at the shop. However, at the shop we have lots of kitchen timers. That way you can have different teas going, have the timer sitting right next to the tea. So when you hear that beep, you're not wondering which of those teas are ready. So I do recommend getting a collection of vessels that you use for tea. Our tea is ready, which means we can now pour it into the shaker. And I'm going to step off camera here, but another thing, give it a moment to release steam. If you close the shaker right away and it allows it to build up a little steam in there, you may have a way too much pressure and it could actually kind of break the seal and you might have tea everywhere. So that's just the one little trick. So I've let it sit for long enough to release the steam, and now I'm going to just go over here and shake. And we recommend shaking for at least 10 seconds. Shaking the tea is also called shocking the tea. And you hear that? That means we just added more oxygen that's trying to be released here. Adding more oxygen to the tea makes a much more flavorful tea. Notice all those bubbles. This is a great sign of a freshly shaken iced tea. That froth on the top, just beautiful. Oh, so good. Okay, so you've now learned how to do a 12-ounce hot tea. You've learned how to do a fresh brewed shaken iced tea. Definitely the way to do it. Now we're going to move on to the matcha latte. Again, because I'm doing this at home, and I don't have an espresso machine or any way to get a good microfoam on a milk, we are only going to do an iced latte. At your shop, so the first step of this process is to make 2.5 ounces of matcha. That 2.5 ounces of hot matcha at your shop is basically going to be used like an espresso shot. So if you do want to make a hot latte, use that matcha just as you would an espresso shot and get your milk frothed up. And we've definitely seen some people do some beautiful latte art with the matcha latte. Now for this tea, 175 is recommended. So it's another good reason to even have more than one variable temperature kettle, but instead we're just going to add some cold water to this and get it back up to the 175. Now, the tools for matcha. Matcha bowl. Matcha whisk or chasen. Scale. I like to use this scale for matcha because we're weighing out much less, and this is just better with grams. So make sure you have a scale that handles grams pretty well. We're going to use our ceremonial grade matcha today, as we always do. And this is a matcha scoop. So you can use the scoop, you can use a teaspoon. We're just trying to make sure that we're getting 3 grams of matcha. So we're going to zero this out or tear this out. And I'm going to weigh the matcha directly into my bowl. Look at that beautiful, bright green, vibrant matcha. That's how you know you got a good quality matcha. And of course, the smooth and subtly sweet flavor is another great sign. And if you're getting the matcha from us, it's always within the current year. So all of the matcha that I have right now is from the spring harvest of 2021. And soon they'll be doing the 2022 harvest. So we're limiting the amount of matcha we bring in this time of year so that we don't have a lot of matcha sitting on the shelf when the new harvest comes in. So we have 3 grams of matcha in our matcha bowl. Okay, so we've got our 3 grams of matcha in the bowl. We've got our kettle at 175, which is the ideal temperature for matcha. We're going to zero out the scale again and move it to, I like to move it to ounces, so that we know that we're pouring 2.5 ounces of water over the matcha. All right, 2.5 ounces. We're going to get our matcha whisk. Okay, now a lot of people think they need to whisk really, really hard. These bristles are delicate. This is actually made out of one single piece of bamboo. And these bristles here are delicate. And there's no need to whisk extremely hard. There's no need to really even whisk all the way to the bottom, maybe the first few times lightly to loosen it up. But you want to whisk kind of in a zigzag motion. And you want to go kind of fast, but you don't want to go really hard. So, and first I'm also going to kind of go around the edges, make sure I get all the matcha off the edges. And you want to whisk until you get a nice little foam on the top. That's why you want this bamboo matcha whisk. No other whisk is really going to give it that nice kind of micro foam at the top. That foam adds a real nice smooth texture to the matcha. So traditionally, you could consume the matcha from the bowl just like this, which I definitely like to do quite a bit. But for our purposes here, you can also sell this as a matcha shot, just like you would sell an espresso shot. For our purposes here, though, we are making an iced matcha latte. Now, I did use 175 degree water, which is ideal for a matcha. With an iced matcha latte, we have just used room temperature water. And being that it's going over ice anyway, it hasn't really made a big, if any, difference. Going to utilize our shaker again. We're also going to get ice in our cup. Okay, so we have ice in our cup. We like to use a plant-based milk. This is Oatsome oat milk, barista style. This makes a nice creamy latte. Also, one of the best plant-based milks we've found, other than, of course, that made by Peace in a Nutshell, who's our partner, who makes a vanilla almond milk in our shop. We're going to use 7.5 ounces. And our milk goes in. And that's about 7.5 ounces. You could also weigh it out as another option. You actually could weigh it out directly into this bowl as well. So you can pour the matcha in there. This is a great time to add your simple syrup as well. The matcha bowl will usually have a little bit left in it, so I like to make sure we get all that matcha goodness out. So give it a little swirl with the milk. Pour that in your shaker. This is the time to add your simple syrup if the customer wants their matcha sweetened, which a lot of customers do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get the rest of the milk in there. All right. Let me get our lid on there. And we're going to give it about a 10-second vigorous shake. Now that we've shaken our matcha, it's time to pour. Get all that nice frothy goodness out of there. And this is how we make an iced matcha latte. That is the way to start your day. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the video. Today you learned how to make a hot loose leaf tea. So we did a 12-ounce tea, so that was 6 grams. We did an iced tea. Again, that was 6 grams, but we cut the amount of water in half, or a little bit more than in half. And you learned how to make an iced matcha latte. And you should now also know basically how to make a hot latte. Again, after you whisk just that matcha is basically your espresso shot. So you use that 2.5 ounces of liquid matcha, just like you would a shot of espresso after frothing your milk. This video, a great way to watch this video is to watch a section, pause it, and then allow your baristas to demonstrate. It's always good to get some practice in rather than just trying to absorb all of this information. And then you could start the video again, move on to the next drink, and have them practice again. I'm always available, so don't hesitate to reach out through text, phone, email, Instagram. I'm happy to answer questions, and I'm definitely happy to know that you care about presenting our products in the best light they can be presented. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I hope your customers are as pleased as our customers are with the way that you put love and care into every single cup that crosses that counter. Have a great day.